Get ready to rock with Firehouse. Wild Rose Casino and Hotel welcomes Firehouse to 3 big nights of rock. Thursday, July 20th, Emmitsburg. Friday, July 21st, Clinton. And Saturday night, July 22nd, Jefferson. All shows outdoors, all shows free admission. Firehouse is going to rock Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. You'd rather be here. See wildroseresorts.com for more.
Chris Williams, Chris Hassel. 2 guys named Chris. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Hello, a Friday installment of 2 Guys Named Chris. My name is Chris Williams. He is Chris Hassel, waking up early on his day off. What is it, early?
Well, it was supposed to be my day off. And then you went ahead and screwed everything up with your Big 12 trip. You're back
I'm
already?
sorry. You're going to have to wait an hour to go into your pool, okay?
No, I've got a lot going on today. I've got to go to the chiropractor. I've got a degenerative L5 disc, which is not good. It's down at the very bottom, my tailbone. I've had it for many, many years. It's terrible. And not only that, Williams, this week I lifted legs for the first time in 6 months.
That's a bad decision.
Oh my God.
I did that like a year ago. So I have this. If you come over in the next week, like I built a weight room in my house, there's like a rack and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna squat. I'm gonna start squatting. Get my ass all tight. I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks.
That's what happened. I've been moving around like an 85-year-old. When you couple what I did to my legs to what I have with my back, I feel at least 60 years old right now. And now I'm going in today for, they're going to have me do some physical therapy for my lower back condition.
I've been doing physical therapy, going in every week for my shoulder.
What'd you do to your
I'm
shoulder?
trying to not have to have surgery on it. And I've been going in there with all these old people, and they got me on like bands and yeah.
What from throwing pitches to your girls' softball
No.
players?
So I've had a couple of shoulder surgeries, and it's just like, I don't know. From what I understand, like things become undone over time.
What the hell happened to your shoulder? What were you some big athlete back in the day?
I wasn't a big athlete, but I was enough of one to screw up my shoulder in football. And, yeah.
You played football?
Not for very long because of the damn shoulder. I loved football. I genuinely did, but I just really couldn't do it.
Didn't you sack Brett Meyer?
I did. I sacked Brett Meyer.
No
That's the
way.
highlight of my career. Yeah. Blindsided his ass.
Wait, you were playing what? You weren't playing defensive line.
I was DN, baby.
Hang on. I've seen pictures
grade.
of you from high school. Weren't
I
you
was big. No,
hang
this was
on.
in like junior high, dude. Like I wasn't. I didn't
junior
play.
high.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I sacked Brett Meyer in 7th grade.
Because you were skinny back then. You were like...
But I was so much taller. I hit puberty way before everybody else.
Yeah, I did too. I was 6'2" by 6th grade. But
yeah, I was like a post. I mean, my 7th grade basketball season was the highlight of my life. I bet I averaged like 20 a game, and then everybody caught up to me.
On the traveling team, or were you on like the non-traveling JV?
No, I played it all. We did it all. We were playing Atlantic football, and again, I didn't just sack Brett Meyer. I blindsided his ass. Like
Wait, so you went like
I
mask
fucking
first
crushed
into his
Brett
cheeks?
Meyer. Yeah, it was a huge hit. It was such a big hit, it would have been illegal today, what I did to Brett Meyer. And he remembers it.
I never
It's
played
funny
football.
though, because anytime I talk to Brett, it's the highlight of my career. Like I mean, that was it for me. I maxed out in 7th grade, and Brett because Brett's kind of a not real talkative dude, and he just rolls his eyes at me. Like in Brett's mind, I think he's completely blocked out that it actually happened. But I won't.
Well,
let him
he was
forget.
blindsided. He didn't actually see it happen.
We are presented by our friends at Fairway Meat and Grocery. I love it. We get like 2 tweets of your guys' meat per day. Keep sending us pictures of your meat, fellas.
Oh,
We love seeing pictures of your meat.
slide that meat into our DMs.
Fairway Meat and Grocery. Funniest shit ever. It was Monday. I had to go. Again, we got an extra kid in the house this week, and I had to go and pick up something like milk, or it was just like one thing. And sure enough, I'm pulling out. There's Van Winkle walking into Fairway.
I've never seen a guy so
The guy
obsessed.
goes to Fairway every day. It's incredible.
Did you see Fairway tweeted me back?
Yeah,
Love those people.
I did. Hey, we're on baby watch too for Van Winkle. Any
We're on
updates?
baby watch.
Oh,
Are
yeah,
we
you
dilated?
said you were worried you might not be able to make the show today because, wait, you're dilated?
Can we get the
2
update
centimeters.
on your wife's cervix, please?
She's 2 centimeters dilated. No updates yet, but she's working. She's working up till that baby comes. So God bless her.
So are you're from what I remember about your first child, what Van Winkle does is he fasts until the baby is born because then they eat the placenta together in the delivery room. They actually eat the placenta before they even meet the child. It's kind of a Van Winkle tradition.
Freaking weird.
It's
Man.
fake news.
That's the Scientology thing, right? Tom Cruise did that.
I think it's more than I don't know if it's Scientology does it, but more than just Scientologists do it. I know people that have done that.
Really?
Oh yeah, baby.
Are they communists?
No, they are. You would think somewhat regular people, and they chow down on that placenta. Do you cook it?
No, you just eat it raw, from what I understand.
I've never
Chew it up right there in the
never
delivery.
been in a delivery room. What is it?
It's disgusting. It's one of the worst moments.
So is that like part of the afterbirth that comes out?
Yeah, it's just like all the guts that are just there. You just pick it up and shove it in your face. They just put it in a bowl and you just eat it like a meal.
See, Van Wink never. You wouldn't expect that from a guy like Van Wink.
He's got blood all over his cheeks.
I'll take my Fairway burgers instead, please.
2 guys named Chris. Go and get yourself a Fairway.
Here's what Van Wink does.
A nice
he takes
steak.
the placenta and he puts a nice little thumb imprint in it before he eats it, just like with his burgers.
So yes, I've been in Dallas, and our sponsorship. I want to give a shout out to my guy Jeff Kelderman Manufacturing. This is awesome. So they're doing some advertising with us on Cyclone Fanatic too. Already another one of my partners in Mechdyne has already contacted them to do laser cutting. So that's a really big thing that they do is the tube laser cutting. You know that Hassel, you know that Clarinda Academy sign that somebody put in front of my camper?
Yes.
That was the guys at Kelderman.
Oh, really? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
where did that sign go? I thought you were gonna like display that.
It's in my garage. I feel a little bit egotistical putting out that sign in my front yard. You know what I mean?
No, not in your front yard, but like in the background of your shot, maybe in your office.
Oh yeah, I really should do that. It's just, it's like this giant, like it's really heavy. I don't know how I would necessarily. I might put it in the studio. That actually, now that I think about it. So Kelderman Manufacturing has been the sponsor of all of our Big Ten and Big 12 Media Day coverage. Big Ten coming up in a couple of weeks. And Chad Leistico is going to be helping us out there from the Des Moines Register, be our little correspondent on the ground, which we appreciate. I would like to start there, as there's a lot to talk about. It. First of all, it was really good, Chris, I haven't thought about college football much this summer, which is rare for me. Normally, I would have already digested the magazines, reading. I like The Athletic, how they do those like in-depth previews with all the teams. And it's just been hard for me to get into it selfishly because it's like with Iowa State, I don't know enough. Mm-hmm. Like normally I'm like going game by game, over.
And are you referencing because of the gambling situation? You
Yeah,
don't know who's going to be available?
It's just been this like cloud. Now Campbell, I actually thought handled it pretty well yesterday, as good as he could. You got to realize this is a legal situation, so he can't talk about it. It's not, but I do think that he gave us some good insight as to like how the program's been dealing with it.
Well, I saw the clip that you posted from Cyclone Fanatic off to the side. Did he speak at all about that? Was he asked at all about that?
Oh yeah, like he was asked about. Like we peppered him for 10 minutes.
No, I know you guys did on the side, but I'm talking when he was meeting, with the national media and such. Did they?
He was specifically on the podium asked about Hunter Decker's status, and Matt predictably. I mean, come on, I'm not going to ignore it. Everybody knows the rumors, okay? We're not going to tap dance and treat you all like you're idiots. Everybody knows the rumors, and Matt did not say his name, and he, tiptoed around that question like he was very prepared for it. So that's telling. Right now, if you want to read more about this, Jared Stansbury has about 1,000-word piece on Iowa State's quarterback situation on our front page at Cyclone Fanatic, where, he asked Matt about the guys behind him, Rocco Beck, J.J. Cole, and then this JUCO kid that they brought in. So, listen, it's been a weird summer, but it was good for me. It was almost therapeutic to sit there and just talk to other football people, and it just made it feel like, oh, there's actually going to be games played.
Did you ever muster up the courage to go talk to Brady Quinn, who was there covering it?
No, I didn't. Why does Brady Quinn hate me again? He hates me?
No, he doesn't. Brady Quinn doesn't know who you are. Well, he
kind of knows who I am.
I saw him because he works at CBS Sports HQ, obviously, and it doesn't work a lot during the summer because it's not football season. But the last time I saw him, he came up. He was coming on set, and he's like, "Iowa everywhere, huh? Does anybody even watch that shit?" Or something to that effect. And I was just like, "Fuck you, man." So that's what, because you know how he is, he
elitist
thinks,
Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, yes. Iowa.
I will say this about Brady Quinn, and I don't know him, and if you like him, then I'm sure I would like him. But I don't think me and him would have a lot in common.
You wouldn't.
Yeah,
but
I can't see me and him having a lot.
I don't have a lot in common with him either, and he's a good friend of mine. We've gone golfing together. He likes scotch. You like.
I do like.
Actually, no. Did you get Pappy Van hoodwinked again?
No, I didn't do it.
I heard a rumor that you went searching for Pappy Van hoodwink down there.
So, I actually learned my lesson the last time. So this one hotel bar is where a lot of the media folks hang out in Dallas. It's kind of like basically there's this one hotel that's close to Jerry World that is the epicenter of like the Big 12.
Did you just say epicenter?
Yeah. Why? What's wrong with that?
Like an EpiPen?
Yeah, it's the epicenter.
It's epicenter. It's not epicenter.
It's the same thing.
Oh my god!
And this was like, I don't know, two years ago, and I'm sitting there, and I love bourbon, right? Like I collect it, for God's sake. And I was like, oh, I've never had that one before. It's a Texas one. It was some like Garrison Brothers like single barrel type thing. So I bought a pour of it. And I was thinking, I was prepared to spend like $25 for a pour. And the son of a bitch was like $90.
Wait, where was this?
At this hotel bar.
But you didn't get it, right?
This was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. They just
wait. So you spent $90? So you've actually spent more on a drink than I have.
Well, apparently. Well, so I'm sitting there at this same bar on Thursday night, or actually it would have been Wednesday night or whatever, one of these nights, and they've got all the Pappy Van Winkles. They have all of them. They got Rip, which is what I bought in Minneapolis, and
as in ripped off,
and it goes up to the 20-year family reserve. And they were selling that for $225 a finger.
Oh, my God.
Bastards.
What is wrong with people?
All right, let's get into this Big 12 Media Day stuff, some actual football. Again, we have a ton of, if you want to read about this stuff, we have a ton of Iowa State-centric stuff. Hassel, I know that you were watching more from a national perspective for us and kind of took away a few things, specifically the coverage. I'm anxious to hear what you think about this. There was a lot of national media there. Clearly, there was some buzz this year because you had all these 4 new schools. It was a really good crowd, I thought. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma are still in the mix, but you have some concerns about when this league loses those two, about the perception, right?
I just think that nationally we're already starting to move into a world where the Big 12 is not looked at as a power conference, and I think that's a mistake. But I think I just noticed it a little bit with the coverage, with who networks are electing to send, compared to SEC and Big Ten. I fear that those two are breaking out. And, we've talked about the whole super conference thing, that those two are going to become the two places where everybody puts all their resources into. Everybody talks about those guys. And the Big 12 is going to be looked at as like the best of the rest, which is I know that that's kind of what they're going for. But I fear that the step might be steeper than we would hope. I mean, for many years we've had the whole Power 5 thing. I think that's obviously going away. And the Big 12 is in a much better position than the Pac-12 and the ACC. But when Texas and Oklahoma leave next year, I think that you're going to see a pretty big drop-off in coverage nationally and just being a part of the conversation.
One, I agree in the sense that it is kind of like what you're getting into, and I think the Big 12 knows that. You're right, you nailed it on the Power 5. Power 5 no more. I do want to push back, and I'm a little bit curious of how the 12-team playoff impacts what we're talking about, because
that's going to help. For sure.
Yeah, it really is. The only thing that I can live with here as a Big 12 guy is knowing that you're not going to be alone. I do think I know this will be the case for.
I just worry that you're going to have a spot in the playoff, but you're going to have one spot and that's it.
Well, yeah,
where we're talking Big 10, SEC, 4 teams.
Chris, do we even know how they're going to do it? Yeah, like I know they're going to guarantee everybody a spot, but like how much is strength of schedule? How much is,
No.
We still don't even know the process, I guess is my thing.
A lot of unknowns, yes.
What's a shame, too, is like they do play really good football in that league now. Now, the Big 12 doesn't have like the top end. I get it. Like I'm not saying there's no Georgia, there's no Clemson, there's no, like that top end team that, Oklahoma was kind of your team for a while, but they never really won anything in the playoff. But the thing about that league, man, it's top to bottom. There's really not bad teams because Kansas has risen, right? Like Iowa State used to be one of those teams. They're certainly not anymore. You look at these 4 teams that are coming in, they're all good football schools. They all have, I kind of think that, I kind of feel like Central Florida is going to be. I hung around Malzahn for just a little bit. It's like, God, this guy's not he ain't thinking like a G5 guy. He's he's treating that like the SEC. And it may take him a few years to get. I do think all of those programs are going to have some learning curves as far as the grind. It's like you're not getting a week off here when you play. I don't know the American that well off the top of my head, but Rice isn't coming to town or whoever. But like I do think like it's a fun league. The one thing I really like that they're talking about is playing more Thursday and Friday games. At some point you just have to, right? And I'm a NASCAR fan. I throw this into it a lot. why are you trying to compete with the NFL on Sundays in the fall?
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. Run a Thursday night race. Run a Wednesday night race, right? Like, do what you can do to get eyeballs. And I like the aspect that the Big 12 is going to play some games on Thursdays and Fridays. I'm okay with that because you don't have the competition, and you can show people will watch it. We watch MAC games on Tuesday nights, for God's sakes. We will watch it. We will bet on it. We'll pull up our Circa app, right? Like, this is a real thing, and it may not be as good for the
are the fans going to like that, though? I mean, I
as long as you do it in moderation, I think it's fine. Like, one game a year or one home game every 2 years on a Thursday night is not a big deal, in my opinion. I don't think it's a big deal. Now, if you turn into the MAC, where every game is on a then that sucks.
And the problem with those,
that's not what they're talking about.
Like the MAC, and I know Conference USA is doing it. They're going to play weekday games now because of that, because they can get more attention on TV. But the fans just don't show up for, and not that the MAC is going to be packing stadiums on Saturday either, but you tune into these games and there's just nobody there. You might get more eyes on TV, and you will, but the in-stadium experience is really lacking for those conferences. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen for the Big 12. And, in fact, wasn't Iowa State, Oklahoma State a weekday game?
That was a Friday night game, and that's honestly, like, I think why it was as big of a deal as it was. Because everybody
it just
in
felt
the
special. It felt – I was there. I was covering it for WHO TV. And, sure, it was the circumstances were different because Oklahoma State was getting ready to play in the big BCS championship game. And so that was kind of the draw there, but – I think Iowa State fans embrace that.
That night was just crazy too, because you had the Oklahoma State plane crash like a day before, so that was a storyline, and then you had, like you said, the BCS thing, and it was perfect. You had great crew calling the game for ESPN. The price you can't put on that game when you look back is what are college football reporters doing on Friday nights before they cover a game on Saturday. They're sitting at a bar watching the Friday night games, and everybody was watching that. So you got all this media coverage out of it, and that's not going to happen every time. But I'm okay with it, like giving up one home game every 2 years to a Friday night or a Thursday night. Like, I think it's really smart. I think, again, I'll reference my NASCAR fandom. All these old hats. NBC's running races later on Sunday nights, okay? With up against virtually no sports competition, and their numbers are through the roof. They got almost 5 million people to watch a race a couple weeks ago, Chris. Just a regular NASCAR race. That's a crazy number. That's an SEC football type of number. But all these old hats, they want to, well, God damn it, I'm going to get out of church, and I'm going to eat my steak, and I'm going to watch my NASCAR. Well, dude, the times have changed. Right, and it's really good for the sport because you got all these people watching these races for the first time because they're betting on them or whatever. I'm okay with it. There's got to be moderation because you can't just alienate all your season ticket holders and all that. I mean, Matt, like with your day job, like that'd really screw you guys up if all of a sudden Iowa State was playing every game on a Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that's and especially with they moved the homecoming game last year was with it. Oklahoma game was supposed to be on a Thursday, so that screwed everything up for us. But Hassel, from your perspective, from a national side, isn't there something to be said too about the appetite or people just curious about what these new teams bring to the league, new audiences from Florida, Cincinnati? Do you think that's going to help with numbers this year for the Big 12, just because people are curious to see what it looks like?
I think people are definitely curious, and I feel like it would help more if one of these teams actually did compete. You look at the odds, though, to win the conference, and none of those teams are in the top 5 to do anything, and most of them are at the bottom.
3 of the 4 are down right now. Yeah.
So, and what, I know it's exciting for Big 12 fans, and for, if you're a real college football fan like me, I'm excited about it because I know what these schools bring, and I know they've got great fan bases. But to the quote-unquote elitist college football, whether you're a fan, writer, broadcaster, you're not looking at the Big 12 starting next year as a real power conference.
And I guess the biggest question or the biggest test will be once Oklahoma and Texas leave the year after, how that drop off, if there's a big drop off.
People think I'm crazy. I've said it from day one. I'm more convinced of it now. Texas is going to be considerably better in the SEC than Oklahoma. Oklahoma's really going to regret this in 10 years, my belief.
And why do you think that?
I just think Texas fits the, like, in this new era. Why do you think Nick Saban keeps going crazy? Because Texas is winning guys because of money over Alabama's of the world right now.
But Texas A&M is too, and it's not
That's true.
translating.
Yeah,
on
I
the
mean,
field.
Sark's got to be able to put it together. Like, there's no doubt about that. I just think Oklahoma, they just scream Arkansas to me. Really good in one spot, and then you put them over there, and all of a sudden, all of your advantages that you've ever had are gone. You go from being the second best job to maybe the 6th or 7th. Like, that's a huge – and that's my question about all these 4 schools going to the Big 12, too. It's like, okay, like BYU always gets the same players. Like, for 60 years, they've gotten the same type of player. And they've always kind of had the same ceiling and the same floor. How does that translate in a power conference when you're not – they've been playing this independent schedule for the last however many years. It's like you're basically playing a D2 team on week 7. Like, right, this is a different deal now. I'll throw Central Florida into the mix, right? Like, when you recruit those players, you're getting the best of the rest in Florida, and that's really good in the American. How will that do when you're playing Baylor and TCU? I don't know. Cincinnati, same deal. You get the best of the rest in Ohio. Elite in their old league. Best job in the league. Now you're probably still a good job. You're an upper half job in the Big 12, but you lose your advantages. Nebraska did that when it went to the Big 10. Right, and the partial qualifier thing screwed them up because Osborne was a genius with that. But, like, you go from, dominating recruiting in this one base, and then they feasted off of Texas for the longest time. Now we're going to go to the Big 10. Oh, so you mean we're not the only huge stadium in the Midwest with the same type? Oh, yeah, Wisconsin has that. Iowa has that. Ohio State has that. You lose your advantages, and I don't know. I'm fascinated to see how it all kind of plays out. I think long-term, all these schools could be really good in the Big 12, but I just think, Chris, that from our experience with realignment, I mean, TCU is the best example. It can take you 4 or 5 years to really get acclimated to a new league. Now, the transfer portal changes things. Maybe that will speed things up for these guys.
Mm-hmm. How was it this year? You've covered, I don't know how many, 15 of these things. How did this year compare to others? It seemed like a pretty cool setup down there.
Actually, I liked it a lot this year. I thought that the excitement – I'll be honest, Chris, like with the whole like national media coverage thing, like I'm ready to move on. Like I think that most of these Big 12 guys are okay being third. I think most people realize it's the SEC and the Big 10, and then we're all fighting for the best of the rest. But it was really cool. Like there was a lot of energy, I thought, with these new schools. And I think the ones that are left behind, the Iowa States of the world, the Kansas States of the world, I think they're ready to move on too because I think they see an opportunity in this new league with the automatic playoff berth. Like if you're Kansas State and you're looking around at the new Big 12, put Iowa State in the mix. Hell, throw them in there. You're kind of punching at your own weight class now. Mm-hmm. It's all these like-minded like schools that, I did a lot of asking at the hotel bar. I was curious about NIL money. And, at this point, there's not any of these new schools there's not any of in this new league that like, oh, well, that team's spending way more than they're all kind of in the same boat. And I think that's exciting for people. You're right.
Does anybody else have a NIL beer?
Cincinnati does. They were the first, I think.
Wait. I thought Iowa was the first.
No, I'm pretty sure Cincinnati was the first.
No, Iowa invented this thing.
Just like the black uniforms. Yeah, no, I thought it was fine. And again, like I've had lower expectations. My expectation is not to compete with the Big Ten and the SEC. that's a different deal. But I think as far as the product goes and financially, I think the Big 12 is in a really good spot compared to the others. If you want more banter like this, you can join Hassel and I out in Vegas, August 24th through the 27th. We're going to be out there at Circa Sports. I'm going to sign up for Circa Survivor for sure. Thinking about doing Circa Millions 5, the biggest pro football contest in Vegas. $14 million in guaranteed prizes. You can sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. You can learn more at circasports.com.
I was reading into a Circa Millions yesterday. Seems pretty like a cool deal. $1,000. You get to pick 5 games against the spread each week, and your points add up each week. And they do quarterly payouts too, is what I saw. That's kind of cool. So if you don't have to write out the whole season, if you have a good first 4 games,
man,
get paid out, baby.
I just don't know if Chris and I should do this together. I just think we're gonna fight.
Hey, the best part too is the last place finisher also gets paid out. I saw that's
we got
another
a shot.
caveat.
I could just see this becoming a where Hassel and I have a team, and then we have to, let's say you have to submit it by Friday or whatever, and then I could see us Thursday night at 11:59 just mother effing each other on text. The Jags suck.
I can't wait.
You only like the Jets because they got Iowa State players, you fucking homer. I could see this now.
I'm so bored with the sports calendar right now. I am just desperate to get to something meaningful. I mean, I was on HQ yesterday, and we did an entire segment on a Twitter beef between Asante Samuel and Darrelle Revis, who don't even play anymore. It's that's how desperate we are for stuff, for real stuff. Baseball.
Did you do anything Big 12? I didn't watch. I'm sorry.
Yes, we had Brady Quinn on yesterday, and just real treetop stuff. I mean, for the most part, it's talk about, okay, of the new teams, who has the best chance to compete, and obviously the answer is UCF in year one. Is Texas really for real? I mean, I think that's the big question. It's because it's everybody's anointing Texas, and I was looking back at last year, and they were better, but they were 1-4 against AP ranked teams. All the losses were tight. I mean, every loss they lost 5 games. They were 8-5 overall, and I think all 5 losses were by 7 or fewer. But they were beating up on the easier teams on the schedule, and they weren't winning games against the good teams. Mm-hmm. And can you really? I mean, they're even money to win the Big 12 this year. Even money.
Yeah, that's a terrible bet. I wouldn't bet your money on that.
And somehow Oklahoma is second in the odds. They were 6 and 7.
Stupid. That may be a worse bet.
It's just the fact that nobody
like Venables.
Nobody wants to put any money on the Kansas States, the Texas Techs.
Which is stupid because I in my column that I wrote last night, about the parity in this league, and this is why I like Iowa State's place in it, because it's you get rid of those 2 schools, and I feel like if Campbell's there, this program can compete. But in the last 3 years, there's been 6 teams in the Big 12 championship game, Chris. So nobody's been dominating it recently. Lincoln Riley did, but he's gone. Right? I don't know, man. I think that this league is going to be really exciting now. If parity is not your thing, if you like the top end, then that's not where this Big 12 is going to be. But man, it wouldn't shock me at all, if Baylor, who I don't know what they get picked, 7th, whatever is in the Big 12 championship game this year, or if I think UCF is a sleeper, but. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? Well, you were all critical of Mike Gundy. What was your problem with Mike Gundy?
Did you see him? I mean, you saw him in person, right?
Yeah, I love Gundy.
What in the hell is going on? He's got, the typical mullet,
which is great.
But he has this white beard, which is fine. But if you're going to do the white beard, you can't have a completely dyed top of your head mullet.
Are we sure it's dyed?
Yes.
Are
you kidding me?
He's got the salt right up on the sideburns. You see what I'm saying?
Because they don't dye that part of it. And that part of it is cut short. You think that top of his head, that whole raccoon tail up there?
I don't know. I guess
you don't think there's a single gray hair on his head up there? Come on, his whole face is gray.
I'm not as superficial as you. I'm not just sitting around picking. I'm not just sitting around picking apart people's looks like you do.
I'm not picking on anything that he can change, that he can't change himself. Like, what is that look? I can't even...
Matt, pull up a picture of Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the NWO version. He used to do a hell of a dye job on his beard.
Yeah, he had like black with... It was kind of like black and gold. Because he had the really dark black
Did he have to get
stubble.
that look trademarked through the University of Iowa Athletics Department? Did he have to get permission from Iowa fans on Twitter to dye his beard like that?
I got the rivalry stirred up a little bit with a tweet about the bands, about the Iowa band.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Recently.
There, yeah. Look at that Hollywood Hulk Hogan beard right there.
God, that was so good.
The chops are blonde, and then everything else is just dyed pitch black.
So good.
And he was old then. You know, he's in his late 40s then. Yeah, you got them all amped up. So after that game, when I was doing KXNO, Ross Peterson would always go on this week-long fishing trip in the middle of the football season. Every year he did it. And that year it was the week after the Cyhawk game where we had to digest Carson King Gate and the stupid band deal. That was the worst week of local radio I ever had to do in my career.
Well, I think it was like College Football Home or Sickos Committee, one of those things. They tweeted out these new logos for the Iowa band that they released this year.
Which are really cool, by the way.
And, what did I say? Just I can't wait to see, because they're back in Ames this year, I can't wait to see these bastards just trounce Iowa State fans on the way out of the stadium this year. I mean, people are still pissed about that.
Yeah. I prefer bands that know how to follow instructions. The rules are there for a reason.
Do you remember?
You have tens of thousands of drunk, angry college football fans. We're telling you to go in a certain direction for your health and safety. Listen, tuba section.
It got so out of control that some members of the Iowa band were saying that someone was sexually assaulted, and then they showed there was a video, and all it was like a
Mike. And
all it was like a ladder falling.
Yeah, because Pollard went as far to have that press conference where they had pulled the video, the 24-hour video, and then Iowa's president. Do you remember Iowa's president was like, "Yeah, maybe we're not going to play the game anymore." It's
God.
That may have been the dumbest Cyhawk story ever.
I think it probably is. I don't know
and
what
then
else.
At
what
the
else
same
could it be?
time, Carson King's deal with the Register was going on.
Yes.
In the middle of rivalry season in college football, all we were doing for an entire week was Bandgate and Carson King versus the Register.
Mm-hmm. Those were the days, boy. I love how the Cyhawk rivalry can just start some of the weirdest shit. And
people fight about anything.
How long ago was that? What was that? 3, 4?
That feels like it
ago?
was 20 years ago.
It says 3 years ago.
Are still pissed.
God, I remember. I don't go to many press conferences anymore, but I went up to Pollard's, and the president was there, President Winterstein. They were so pissed. I remember walking
they had to have
into
a press conference about the band.
Yeah, about the whole. Well, I mean, the Iowa president went out and like accused him of all this stuff. If you remember it, and
Yeah.
yeah, look at them. They're just walking through all these people with their big ass horns, expecting that nothing's going to happen. Wait, do what you're told.
And weren't they playing?
I'm sure they were playing like
yeah,
Heaven, there is no beer. I don't know,
but and you know how band. So I was always close to band people.
Yeah, they're great
because of where they put the visiting band at Kinnick Stadium. When I would go and I would shoot the game for TV, you were down in the end zones. And at the end of the second quarter, toward the end of the second quarter, the visiting band would always come down and kind of get ready to go out on the field. So they would be lined up behind you. And so they'd be behind you for several minutes, and you'd hear these conversations, and you'd hear this, their smack talk, which is just terrible, by the way.
It's bad smack, yeah.
And I can just picture what these Iowa band members were saying to these Iowa State fans on the way out of the stadium.
Do what you're told. Just wait.
I can't wait to see it again this year.
Yeah, and like the standard Iowa response is, well, just because you don't follow instructions doesn't mean you should get assaulted. No, I know, but the instructions are there to prevent it from happening.
But there wasn't an assault.
Well, allegedly, that's the problem. Nobody lives in a world of facts anymore.
But they released all the video. And it was funny. As soon as they released the video, all of the allegations went away.
They were so pissed. I don't go to a lot of these press conferences anymore, and I went up to that one, and you walked in, and the mood was just like Pollard, Winter. Like, they were so pissed at that whole situation.
Well, here's what I want. I want Pollard to schedule another press conference, and I want him to say two things.
Okay.
He's been a top 10 athletic director in the country the last 15 years. Done a great job. Incredible job. But the next two things he must do. One is easy. Announce alcohol sales to anyone inside Jack Trice Stadium. It shouldn't just be for the people paying extra for suites or what have you.
Iowa State has 2 beers now.
Everyone else is doing it. And yes, Iowa State has 2 beers, one that helps fund the athletic department, one that helps with the NIL. The next thing you got to do, announce that you're going to upgrade the press box a little bit. I mean, I'm not
sign me up for that.
You don't have to make some monstrosity, but when you compare the Iowa State press box to all the other press boxes in power football,
it's bad.
It's shocking. Shocking.
Yeah, when you go to Kinnick every other year, when I go to Kinnick, it's like a vacation. Seriously. Now, if I can avoid getting beer thrown on me and all the FUs as I walk into it. The last time I went to Kinnick, I got hit in the head with a Milwaukee's Best, and I haven't been back.
And when was that?
Iowa State won that game. I think that was the Jake Knott interception.
Yeah, God, those games were terrible.
It's like 9-6.
Just bad teams. I mean, those Iowa teams were terrible.
No, they have a great press. Iowa State's press box is. I just don't know how big of a priority it is for him.
But why?
Because I don't think he likes us media folk.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it like, look.
But at some point, you
media
want
guys are going to cover the game anyway. But I think it's also aesthetics with the stadium. I mean, you've done so much to that stadium.
I did hear a rumor coming off of our conversation that they are considering. I'm serious here. I did hear a rumor
putting window units in,
that they are putting like boxed air conditioner units in at Jack Trice
because of the conversation we had.
I know. I don't know. I think somebody was reacting to our conversation saying that they thought that was happening.
I'll tell you, I don't think they're going to update the press box until the Sci-Town's done, unless it comes from a private donation. But they got a lot of money tied up right now.
That's what I'll do.
All right, private donate. Who's a media member that has a lot of money that could donate to help out his fellow media guys? Because we know that sports writers don't make much.
I was gonna say, like, isn't
local
that
TV
like
guys don't make much.
Some money you paid.
Bloom could raise money. He could siphon the money away from the players to the media members.
Oh, by the way, speaking of media, I had another experience yesterday. So you would think at AT&T Stadium with all these, like, hundreds of sports writers. So they had a giant bathroom. I bet that this bathroom, this is where everybody's doing their business. This is the bowels of AT&T Stadium, like the richest stadium in the world. I bet it had 50 urinals. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Had one stall.
No.
And I had to go in there because I wanted to change. Like, I was in dress clothes yesterday, and before I got on the plane, it was like 110 degrees out there, okay? So I wanted to put some shorts on to go to the airport. So I go in there to change, and I have my suitcase because I'm running to the airport right after. And I tell you what, it was the stinkiest bathroom I'd ever experienced in my life.
It with one stall.
Oh my god!
Have you noticed?
So hot. It was so hot in Dallas that like they couldn't even keep AT&T like at a respectable temperature. Like, it was hot. Like, I bet it was down on the field at our work area. I bet it was like 85, 90 degrees. It was hot. And you took all of that heat. All of these sports writers just been out eating Tex-Mex and drinking beer. They're farting.
These sports writers.
Oh my god!
They have it's a specific smell.
Oh,
yeah. It's like it's not just regular feces.
No,
it's like
it's just stale beer.
Super. What's the right word? Rotten.
It's like it's been in there for
stale.
It's just been in your intestines for days.
It's a different level of smell.
I mean, these sports writers, they go on these events.
They just live off the free food.
Yeah, and beer, and they just treat their body like an amusement park.
He was treating his body like an amusement park.
This bathroom was absolutely disgusting. So then the Jack Trice bathroom, the worst part about it is there's no air conditioning and heat rises. So like these September home games, you go in there and there's 2 urinals and 1 stall. There's 1 stall for the entire press corps. And we're all overweight and we all are just disgusting individuals. And that bathroom is super small, and it's the most disgusting place on earth.
They reminds me
clean.
Of
it's not like they don't keep it clean, but that smell just doesn't leave. The sports writer poop smell.
One of the most disgusting bathrooms I've ever been in was at Channel 13, WHO-TV. And these aren't sports writers. These are news people. But there's engineers, there's photogs, there's a bunch of people in this building, but there were a few people that would just blow up these bathrooms. And I'll never forget, Andy and I went into the bathroom one night. This was probably 12 years ago. And it smelled like someone just took a steamer right on the floor. And Andy was like, "What the hell? What is going?" He was looking in all the stalls. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's like, where is this smell coming from? And he goes to the garbage receptacle, which is it's one of those where it has you pull the paper towel down out of the thing, and the garbage is right under it. It's like on the wall, right?
Yes.
It's like hooked onto the wall in a public restroom.
Yes.
Well, the garbage was filled all the way to the top. And on top of the garbage was this pile of paper towels, flat, just laid out perfectly. And sitting on top of the paper towels is just a monstrous turd.
Why wouldn't somebody put it in the toilet and flush it?
It's like someone laid out a bunch of paper towels on the floor, dumped on it, picked it up, and placed it on top of the wastebasket.
Just for all to see.
And smell.
Enjoy. Like a pot of potpourri.
It was. And, it had this bathroom. I mean, you'd go in there.
Got like corn and... Did that turd have like corn in it?
It was like someone was ripping out their own pubic hair and just sprinkling it on all the seats. Like you could not find one toilet that didn't have pubic hair sprinkled all over the seat.
Here in the Channel Seed studios, I'm going to be out at the Channel Seed golf outing in Storm Lake next week. Going to hang out with all the seedsmen. Looking forward to that. I want to give a shout out. I got a seedsman shout out that I'm going to give today. Benson Seed. Tate Benson is his name. Shout out to you, Tate.
Tate.
Out in Pearson, Iowa. He's 13 years as a Channel Seedsman. He is a Hawkeye fan. So there are farmers who are Hawkeye fans. He's a big Hawkeye fan.
We invented the farmer. Hawkeye fans kept farming alive. I would say the majority of farmers in Iowa are Hawkeye fans, no doubt.
I love the Wide Right and Natty Light, how they got the actually helping farmers thing going like 10 years ago. That was brilliant.
We got a C&D for that.
Did you really?
Yeah. Because it was before my time, but they sold the T-shirts that said actually helping farmers with a very similar logo.
So the logo got it?
Yeah, but it's protected under parity laws. So in reality, if we really wanted to make a lawsuit out of it, I think we'd have a pretty good case, but it's not worth the time or effort probably.
Because at one point, Matt Campbell actually used a hashtag.
Yeah, it was one of his first years. Yeah.
Good stuff. Love our friends at Channel Seed. I'm looking forward to going out and meeting all of you guys coming on. I'm going to speak to them. Really looking forward to this out in Storm Lake. I think, next Wednesday. But shout out to Tate Benson, Pearson, Iowa, Benson Seed. Shout out to you. We appreciate everything that Channel Seed does for us here on Iowa Everywhere. Also, as you saw in the pre-roll, the Wild Rose Casino having the Firehouse Rock concerts on July 20th at Wild Rose Emmitsburg, Friday the 21st, Wild Rose Clinton, and Saturday the 22nd at Wild Rose Jefferson. These are all outdoor shows, free for all ages. So get the family out and go and take in some rock.
Why do you do that?
I don't know. Cade McNamara is not going to Big Ten Media Days. I hate this. This bothers me. I understand why coaches make decisions.
Well, Hunter Deckers didn't go to Big 12.
Well, and I think we all know why. Okay. This is the disconnect. It's media days. It's for promotion of your program. It's for the media to get fans excited for the season. At the core, that's why they do all of this. Okay?
Yes.
When these coaches use it as like a reward for their players for good behavior, or this guy's been and the kid doesn't talk, it's just wasting everybody's time. If you're covering Iowa, you want time with Cade McNamara. What's one of the biggest stories in the Big Ten this season? Cade McNamara, the longtime Michigan quarterback, led him to a playoff, is now at the University of Iowa. We want to hear from this guy. And I get it if I'm Kirk Ferentz. There's all these reasons not to do it, whatever.
But isn't that all that matters to Kirk Ferentz? Like, he doesn't
care.
Yes,
but that's the disconnect. I get it. I understand why Kirk Ferentz is doing what he's doing, but I want to hear from Cade McNamara. This is a guy I'm not covering Iowa. But when I read Lystico and Doctorman and those, I'd love to hear what Cade McNamara thinks
I want to
going
hear
into
from
the
him too.
season.
And I think it would be good for the Iowa brand to get him out there as well. But it doesn't seem like the Iowa sports writers and the people that cover Iowa care that he's not going. And maybe that's because they feel like they're going to get a chance to talk to him enough outside of Big Ten Media Days. I don't know. It's strange. I get it. Kirk Ferentz doesn't want McNamara answering a bunch of questions about
Brian's
leaving
contract.
Michigan. And yes, Ferentz's contract.
Get that.
It's going to come up during the year.
I get that. Yeah. You may as well rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes. I wish he was there. I do. And I think it would be good for Iowa. I think he has the personality where he just kind of seems like a bring it on kind of guy. Like it's not going to affect him if he gets asked a bunch of questions about Michigan and other stuff.
He seems like an alpha dog to me.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't seem like a guy.
And that's why I think it should have happened. But this is Kirk Ferentz. You know?
Yeah, I get it. I just think, Chris, like this is it's a really great regional, national type story for Iowa to tell. Like, look at this dog that we got from the portal. He could have gone all these different places. He chose to come to the University of Iowa. We're going to turn our offense around.
So I think this will lead to fewer conversations about Iowa at Big Ten Media Days.
Maybe that's what they want.
It probably is, but I think I think Iowa is being overlooked right now. I mean, we've done a lot of Big Ten talk on CBS Sports HQ. Nobody's talking about Iowa. It's strange because they have such an easy schedule, and I think it's because they were so bad offensively last year, and you have Michigan and Ohio State. Iowa, I mean, God, I feel like I got to get on that number. What was that 7.5 for a long
time? It's
time?
like 9.5 now.
Now it's just skyrocketing because people are looking at that schedule. If they could win that game at Penn State early on in the season, look out.
This is the type of year that Iowa State will beat them. If you look back at like the last 25 years of that game, because I mean, right now it's like I feel like Iowa State going 6-6 would be great for them. Like I would sign up for that right now. Like, I think Iowa could win 10 games. Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at this. Van Wink, pull up Iowa's schedule. Yes, you have to go to Iowa State, but it's, I don't think, that good of an Iowa State team. So many question marks with this gambling stuff, which at this point, Williams, I'm not sure that this gambling thing's even going to be done by the time the season starts. And if that's the case, none of these guys can play.
Correct. And they certainly won't be playing in week 2. So you get Utah State, that's a win. Iowa State will give you a win. Western Michigan, that's a win. Then you go at Penn State, you'll be an underdog.
State's the big one.
Michigan State's tough. Like,
so
who do you get there?
The one problem with Iowa's schedule, and it's what makes it a lot tougher than just looking at the teams they're playing, looking at the competition. Is it all of these tough games, rivalry games, I guess you could say, against Iowa State. They're on the road. They have to go to Iowa State, to Penn State, to Wisconsin. It makes their home schedule just dog.
But God, look at that. Look at towards the end. Minnesota at home, at Northwestern, Rutgers at home, Illinois at home, at Nebraska.
And so Illinois is going to be a tough game. I think Illinois and Wisconsin.
A shell of what it has been. You don't have to worry about them. Northwestern's got their
You do have to go
drama.
to Nebraska. That's another one.
Yeah. What is Rule going to have in year 1? Yeah, I don't know. I like Iowa a lot this year too. But
that's pretty presumptuous on their schedule to put Iowa versus the Big Ten champion.
It is interesting which teams will decide to put the conference championship game on their schedule. and which teams don't. Yeah, put it on there. Hell, they've been not that good the last couple years, and they have been able to. Well, 2 years ago, they were in it, got killed. Last year, they should have been in it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to reading some stuff on the defense, believe it or not. Like, we talk so much about Iowa's offense, but they did lose a lot of guys on defense, and the ones who are the plug-and-play transfer type guys. I just want to learn about them. Mm-hmm. Everybody seems to really like them. I want to read more.
Well,
so that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
I'm glad you want to hear about the defense and not Cade McNamara, because you're not going to hear about Cade McNamara.
Well, I want to hear from that. But isn't that weird, interesting how that worked though? Like they lost. Do you remember when that was a story? Like, oh my God, all these guys are transferring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they got all the guys on offense, and then we all just kind of moved on.
Yeah. There's no way their defense can be as good as it was last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Last year.
Yeah. But if you're not the worst offense.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah. I don't think it's going to need to be as good as last year, because the offense is not going to be nearly, I hope, as anemic as last season.
Isn't it just funny how our brains work like that, though? It's like when one shiny object is flashing, and that was all these defensive guys leaving, and then, Cade McNamara is here, this Ohio State wide receiver transfers, and then we just kind of move our attention.
I think Iowa just should have leaned into it all the way to Big Ten Media Days, just Kirk, Brian, and Cade McNamara.
And that's honorary Gary Barta.
Gary Barta. Get a chance to speak with Gary Barta before he's done, because what does he have, another couple weeks and he's out?
We're honoring Gary Barta by letting him come with us to represent Iowa on Big Ten Media Days. That's coming up in 2 weeks. All right. Appreciate all you. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Go enjoy some public restrooms this weekend.
Just don't avoid the sports writers. I'm telling you, Hassel put it perfectly. It's a different kind of stank. I do think it's just all that beer and that carbonation and junk food, and it just sits in those intestines.
These people must just be dying inside. It's like the smell of death.
It's like a dead skunk is in their small intestine. Just crawling, just begging to get out. Thanks to Matt Van Winkle, we're all on baby watch. Congratulations. His wife's cervix is dilated.
And that placenta is
the fetus is ready to crawl out. We're looking. Maybe Matt will be a dad of two coming up on Monday's show. Aiden Wyatt standing by.
Do you think anybody's ever let the baby eat the placenta as like their first meal?
They choke.
Maybe we could start that.
Can't eat that. Well, it doesn't have
cut
teeth.
It up.
Doesn't even have teeth.
Put it in a blender.
You'd have to. Yeah, you literally have to blend it.
Matt, you'll end up.
Babies can't just chew.
This will be a big time story on social media if Matt blend that placenta up, feed it to the baby for the first meal, and then you can have that. Iowa man blends placenta to feed to newly born child. Start a tradition.
Subscribe and follow us everywhere you can. Get out of here. Have a great weekend, guys. Appreciate you all.